Okay, if we can take our seats and we'll get started. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can you hear me back there? Your mic on? I'd like to call the meeting to order. If we could stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can we have the roll call, please?
Jamie Girardi,
Here.
Don Anderson,
Here.
Peter Hansel,
Here.
Roberto Size, Christopher Poole,
Here.
Richard Tonello representing Chris Williams,
Here.
Chairman Charles Gray.
Here. We'd like to read proof of publication, please.
The items were advertised in the Tampa Bay Times on June 9th, 2021, June 30th, 2021, July 7th, 2021, July 11th, 2021, July 18th, 2021, or by affidavit of certified mailouts and posting at the site.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 20th, 2021.
Second, Chris
Yep.
Poole.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone today. This is the Planning Commission. We're appointed by the County Commissioners. We meet twice monthly. We serve as a local planning agency, and we hold public hearings and transmit to the Board of County Commissioners recommendations on comprehensive plan amendments, land development code amendments, rezoning, and conditional use requests. The Planning Commission is the final decision-making body for special exceptions, certain appeals, variance requests, and certain alternative standard requests. However, final decisions may be appealed to the Board of County Commissioners. If anyone is in opposition to any land development code amendment, rezoning, conditional use, or any item where the Planning Commission transmits a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, it's important for you to attend the appropriate County Commission meeting. For those of you not familiar with the format of our meetings, they are as follows. We have three areas. One is continuances, and it's been our custom to approve a continuance if it's requested by the applicant or the staff, unless there are extenuating circumstances. And we have consent items. Those items are on consent because we've not received any letters of objection or notifications from anyone in the public or from the staff. And those items will remain on consent once we go through the consent items. If you hear something on consent that you'd like to have heard today, raise your hand, make yourself known, and we'll pull it from consent for discussion. And then we have the regular items. Those are the items that are not being continued or not on consent. And we'll go through those items today. The applicants typically will have 3 minutes to make a presentation, and the responders would have 3 minutes to ask their questions. And then following the questions, then the applicant will have an opportunity to come back up and answer any questions that were developed. If there is a request at least 24 hours before this meeting for extra time, and it must be in writing, the extra time may be granted. not mandatory, but it may be granted. I believe we have one request.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do have a request. It's for item P12, PDD 217531, Horner Property MPD.
All right, thank you. And I think I've already given permission for that. Yeah.
Yes, sir, it's 20 minutes.
Okay. So before we go any further, if you have a phone on you, this would be a great time to put it on the silent position or turn it off so we don't interrupt anyone. And before we start the regular meeting, we want to open the meeting for anything that someone's here to speak on that is not on the agenda today. Do we have anybody that wants to speak on something not on the agenda? I see no one. So what we want to do is, anyone who does plan to speak today, please stand and raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give today is the truth, so help you God?
All right, thank you. Okay, Ms. Denise, I guess we're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Denise Hernandez. Can everybody hear me well?
Yes.
Thank you. We're going to start with item PC1, which is PDD 210417 for a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, CPAS 21, parentheses 01, County Line Suncoast Expressway Commercial. This particular item is being withdrawn from consideration, so no further action is required at the moment.
All right, thank you.
Following item is PC2, PDD 210430 for a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment, CPAL 21, parens 06, Adrian Phillip. This item is also being withdrawn from consideration, so no action is required today.
Okay, thank you.
Next item is PC3, which is PDD 217530. It's a zoning amendment, Wesley Chapel Lakes MPUD Master Plan Unit Development, and My Homes of Tampa LLC. It's for a substantial modification request to propose entitlements for vacant parcels within the Master Plan Unit Development District. The request is for a continuance to the August 26, 2021 Planning Commission meeting at 1:30 in Newport Richey.
All right, do I have a motion? Is the applicant present? Is there anyone here to object? Do I have a motion to approve the request for continuance?
Motion to approve the continuance?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Following item is PC4, PDD 217546, is a zoning amendment in the name of Weiss Smith Properties LLC for a change in zoning from a C2 General Commercial District to an I1 Light Industrial District. Comes to you with a request for continuance, to the August 5th Planning Commission meeting at 1:30 in Dade City.
I'll make a motion to continue this item to the August 5th meeting.
All right, before we do that, is the applicant present? Is the applicant present? Anyone here to object? Okay, now we have a motion. Ron? Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, and Chris, I think you second?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, any further discussion of the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Following item is PC5, and it's PDD 210435. It's a waiver request, Wiregrass Ranch, Inc., Wiregrass Ranch MPUD, Master Plan Unit Development District, Parcel M14. This is a waiver of the specific distance limitation of 1,000 feet from a pre-K through 12th grade public schools for the consideration of administrative use permits for the sale of alcoholic beverages. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval.
All right. Is the applicant present? Anyone here to object? Okay, any questions? Medez?
I'll move approval.
Okay. We're going to do it all at once on consent. Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Okay, so that'll stay on consent. Next one.
Following item is PC6, PDD 217520. It's a zoning amendment, Pulte Law MPUD, Master Plan Unit Development, Pulte Home Company LLC, for rezoning from an AR Agricultural Residential District to an MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District to allow 240 single-family detached units on approximately 79.76 acres. Comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions as included in your agenda packet.
All right, the applicant's present. Anyone here to object? Okay. Go ahead.
PC 7 is PDD 217534, Ranch Hill MPUD Master Plan Unit Development, Alfred T. Smith, for a rezoning from an AC Agricultural District to an MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District to allow for a maximum of 350 multifamily apartment units on 23.16 acres. Comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions as included in your agenda packet.
All right, the applicant present. Is there anyone here to object?
Mr. Chairman, I'm being told that item PC 6, there was someone here to object.
I asked for objections. We've already,
She did.
he did? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then we'll pull PC 6 from consent?
Yes, 7-2.
No,
Item
we're,
7.
we went back to,
The
Seven,
objection was for
PC6.
PC 6, Pulte.
we're not going to talk from the audience, okay? We'll handle it here. We're pulling PC 6.
We're pulling
Correct.
PC 6, PDD 217520, Pulte Law MPUD. If the lady who raised her hand can please state yes.
Okay. Yeah, please make yourself known. PC 7 is the one we're pulling as well.
Did
I
you
think
call
we had
for
an
objection on that
objector.
one?
Did we not?
Yes.
Yes. But the applicant's not present.
The applicant is present.
Okay, I asked if the applicant was present. I'm sorry. Okay. So we're going to pull that one too.
Following item is PC 8, which I believe will be pulled as well, but I'm just going to read it into record. PDD 217516, zoning amendment for Kitty Campus University, Inc. is for a change in zoning from AR1 Agricultural Residential District to PO1 Professional Office District. Comes to you with a recommendation of approval.
Is the applicant present? Anyone here to object?
There is one online.
We do have an objector also online, Mr. Grant.
Okay, we're still doing the online thing?
We are, yes.
Okay. Okay, so we're pulling 8 as well? All right, let's go to 9.
I'm going to go to 9, but I should have mentioned to you that that's a request for continuance, but I will read it into record. That is PDD 210427, Large-Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment, CPAL 21, Friends 01 for Sunwest Park PD. There's a request for continuance on that one to the August 26, 2021 Local Planning Agency meeting at 1:30 in Newport Richey.
Is the applicant present? Anyone here to object? All right. So we're going to continue that one. Let's hear a motion.
A motion to continue?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, did you want to vote on the consent? It looks like so far you only have item PC 5 on consent, which is PDD 210435.
So that's the only, that's the only thing left on consent, right?
That's correct. PC 6, PC 7, and PC 8 have been pulled.
Okay.
I'll make a motion for PC 5 approval.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion of the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All
The
right.
next item on your agenda is PC 10, PDD 210499, and this is a presentation by Mr. Bill Oliver. And if you give me a minute, I will tee that up.
You doing items pulled first? We're doing the items pulled first, or are you doing that first?
We'll do this first.
All right, to save time, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Bill Oliver. I'm a registered professional engineer in Florida, probably most notoriously known in Pasco County for undertaking your transportation impact fee and mobility fee studies in 2011, 14, 28, and now 2021. And that's the purpose of the presentation today. We're taking a proposed change to the mobility fee ordinance. This thing's kind of sagging here. There we go. Planning to go to the county commission in their August 10th meeting. And so this is a presentation to y'all for questions and your recommendation. And if you'd like to go to the first slide. Typically, when I undertake a study, the first thing I look at is what's changed since the last study that we did, because the rate of growth, the transportation plan may change, revenue forecasts may change, population growth may change. So I'll spend a couple of slides talking about that, and then talk about the recommendation that the staff is bringing to you today for adjustments to that plan, or to the fee program. Just one slide on a brief history. You've had transportation impact fees since 1985. In Pasco County in 2011, we changed to a mobility fee strategy. The key changes there were that we created 3 districts in the county, an urban district, suburban district, and a rural district, and tailored the fee to reflect differing goals and mobility solutions and intent in those 3 districts. The rural district had the highest fees, suburban district had the next in the middle fees, and then the urban district had the lowest fees. And that reflected a willingness to accept more congestion in that urban district and shorter trip lengths and so forth. The rural district having longer trip lengths, wanting better quality of service, resulted in the need to construct more infrastructure and higher fees. We also, in that program, created incentives. The comp plan is seeking to incentivize and attract employment land uses to the county. In that fee program, we basically said that the county would fund the mobility fee obligation of office land uses, industrial land uses, and lodging land uses as being the 3 key sectors of the economy where that the county was seeking to incentivize. The fees have largely remained unchanged since 2011 in the face of higher growth, higher costs, and so forth. And the reason you're able to do that was because you've, in that process, adopted the second local option gas tax, 5 additional pennies of gasoline tax that go towards the expansion of the mobility system. Also was the enactment of a tax increment, property tax increment district countywide to help also fund transportation. In the 2018 adoption process, I remember advising the Board of County Commissioners at that time, we're running out of options. And so we thought, the thought was that this go-round there would be some adjustments that have to be made. So we'll talk about those here in a second. Yeah, and the mobility fee program that's in place generates about $28 to $30 million per year. That was, at current estimates, that would be about 22% of the financing need for your transportation plan. Next slide, please. So, in the process of doing this study, the Florida State Legislature passed legislation which restricted or limited the method or the style in which you could amend and change your impact fees. It applies to all impact fees, not just mobility fees. But there are kind of 2 strategies. The lower one, the can increase by more than 50% fee if you have a fresh study justifying the need for a dramatic increase in your mobility fees or impact fees, requiring also a 2/3 majority of the Board of County Commissioners vote to actually adopt and implement it, and a finding on their part of extraordinary circumstances. We didn't think that was in the circumstance we're in, so we're taking the more, the less dramatic approach of just allowing one increase in the fee every 4 years. During that 4-year window, the legislature limited increases to a maximum of 50% in 4 equal steps. If your proposed increases were only up to 25%, then it was required that those changes be implemented in 2 equal steps over 2 years, and then that your fee program could only be altered or changed once every 4 years. So the change we're making now It's supposed to last us for 4 years unless we find extraordinary circumstances. Next slide, please. Not surprisingly, as usual, the costs of implementing your mobility system have increased over recent years, and according to the Florida DOT, we expect those costs to continue to increase by about 3% per year over the coming 4 or 5 years. So that's a change in the fee program since last year. We have to recover greater costs. Next slide, please. We also look at the growth rates of travel and also the revenues that you have coming in, not just from mobility fees, but from gas taxes, sales tax, and your tax increment district. In this transportation plan update that was adopted, I think last year, compared to the 2018 study, the rate of growth that you're expecting in travel has decreased. Less population growth, less travel growth. So that's good. That means you have to build less infrastructure to accommodate it. But even with the higher costs, that reduction in growth reduced the amount of revenue needed by about 10.6%, which is good. In the green box, thinking about revenues, by and large, those non-mobility fee revenues, the sales tax, the tax increment district, and motor fuel taxes, across the board stayed about the same. Slight reduction because of the growth rates slowing down a little bit. So the total revenue needed from mobility fees is also less than we anticipated in 2018, but with a slower growth rate, there's less growth from which those mobility fees are generated. So after all of that mathematics, bottom line is the mobility fee rates do need to increase, not as dramatically as I had thought back in 2018. At the outset of our study, we had individual interviews with each of the county commissioners, exploring different strategies for how to approach the mobility fee adjustments that are coming up. And these are the indications or the issues and the feedback. The numbers at the end of each line in parentheses kind of indicated how many of the 5 commissioners were in favor of that particular strategy. So there was strong support, 4.5 out of 5. One commissioner was kind of, yeah, maybe, but maybe not. They were willing to reconsider that option. But you've incentivized forms of development. Your mixed-use travel reducing measures form of development, which is slightly higher density than your standard form of development. The traditional neighborhood development, transit-oriented development are discounted. The mudroom by 25%. The TND by 50%, the transit-oriented development is discounted by 75%. So there's strong support of keeping those discounts and those relationships in place. 4 out of the 5 were also willing to consider reducing the retail incentives, allowing the retail development fees to increase by a more substantial margin than perhaps others. The next 3 about reducing lodging incentives, the office and industrial incentives, and even single family. Only 1 out of the 5 were willing to consider that. So there was very little support for those types of changes. 2 other ideas emerged. One was to create an incentive for locally owned small businesses, which I'll talk about subsequently. And secondly, the interest in identifying or providing a separate fee rate for accessory dwelling units, which I'll also talk about in a few minutes. And I should probably add that I noted David Goldstein is in the video, so I should pause every now and again because David is always eager to add a few notes that I may have forgotten to address. So I'll take a deep breath and let him chime in.
You're doing great, Bill.
Okay.
You're doing fine.
Okay, good. All right, so that guidance is what kind of gave us direction on what sector, if you will, of the development economy we would look at to generate the additional needed revenues or the fee increases. So this slide kind of reflects the previous slide, and here's where we have settled after doing the math. We're going to continue the existing full incentives or zero fee for office, industrial, lodging, and the geographic area on the western edge of your county known as the West Market area. The retail fees were kind of what took the increase. That's where we're allowing the retail fees to increase basically by about 50% over the 4 years in equal steps. So annually, about a 13% increase on their fees. Multifamily apartments, the Board of County Commissioners has taken action to eliminate incentives for multifamily, asking them to pay the full standard fee rate, non-incentivized. And that strategy, they just did that last year, last May or June, and so that strategy is continuing. The locally owned small business fees, proposed that those fees would be the same fees as the traditional neighborhood development rate, or giving them a 50% discount on the otherwise rate that they would pay. We're going to continue the zero subsidies also for many warehousing and mining land uses. And then all other fees, the residential, single-family residential, institutional fees, recreational fees, other land use categories that I've not mentioned above, would basically be indexed over the next 4 years at about a 3.13% per year increasing rate to kind of align with the DOT's expected cost increase rate. Next slide. Okay, a bunch of numbers here, and I love this slide, but I don't think a lot of other people do terribly much. But in my mind, this slide summarizes what your currently adopted transportation plan says. In the blue box, there's a certain amount of travel that is occurring today. There are growth rates, differing growth rates in the urban, suburban, and rural district. In the yellow line, there's an indication of what quality of service you intend to provide, or at what rate you intend to construct mobility system capacity. In the urban district, building at a rate of 0.95 times the rate of growth. The suburban district, 1.25, the rural district, 1.33. These are it's the same commitment to quality of service that existed in the 2018 mobility fee program. So no change there. Costs have changed, so when you multiply the quantity of growth times the costs, the bottom line in that blue box on the far left says that over the 25-year horizon, you're needing about $3.1 billion of revenue to fund the program. In the green box, we're looking at the revenues, the different sources, the second local option gas tax, penny for Pasco sales tax, and so forth, and how much revenue we expect to come from those sources, and then how much revenue we're looking for the mobility fee also to generate. And then in the orange box, the fee rates that would be implemented after the 4-step adjustments, the fee rates that would result in 2025. Next slide. So again, more numbers here, but I'll take a minute to kind of walk through this slide. This basically, in all of our analysis, we've used 6 example land uses, and those are listed on the left-hand side: the single family, the multifamily, the apartments, the hotel units, the office, retail, and industrial land uses. And then under each of those lines, the fee rates that would be in place in the urban district, the suburban district, and the rural district. The 4 major columns, if you will, as you go horizontally, indicate the form of development. The first column dealing with standard development forms, the second column being your mixed-use trip reduction measures development, the third the traditional neighborhood development, and also what's the acronym there is LOSB, the locally owned small business fee rates, and then the last column being the transit-oriented development. And then within each of those major columns, the first column is the fee that land use would be paying today in 2021. And then in the 2022, 3, 4, and 5 would be the fee rates they will pay in those calendar years. And you can kind of see the strategy. The standard fee rates are where the most significant changes occur. The residential increasing by about 3% per year, the apartments growing by about 12 or, about 6%. It was actually 6% per year with that 0% incentive. Office and hotel remaining at $0. The retail rates is where you see the most dramatic increases in the standard fee rate, increasing by about 13% per year, up to 50% after 4 years. And then the zero fees for the industrial. If the development, though, if the retail development, for example, is in the mudroom district, its fee would only be indexed at the 3.13% per rate year, maintaining that incentivized, or the incentives for that form of development. So the standard retail will be increasing at 13% per year, but if your retail is in mudroom, TND, or the TOD, you'll only see about only about 3% per year indexing. All right, next slide. The locally owned small business discount. This is the proposed definition that's in the proposed ordinance. It's basically a business that's 51% owned, not a chain. 51% owned by people who live in Pasco, Hernando, Sumter, Polk, and Hillsborough. Pasco plus your adjacent counties. And having 25 or fewer employees. David, I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about there. Since
No,
that was
you covered it, Bill. It's a reduced rate, so it's paying about half what a standard fee would pay.
Yeah. And then the accessory dwelling unit, the proposed rates are here. And then an accessory dwelling unit is basically what I refer to as a mother-in-law quarters. You may build a very, very small, like one-bedroom house or on top of your garage or standalone in the yard. It's got to be a primary single-family dwelling unit on the primary lot. With a limitation of 900 square feet, my gut tells me you'll be running into these units on the 400 to 650 square foot range, but we went to 900 square feet because 3-car garages are becoming popular, and that's what would fit on top of a 3-car garage, more or less. And you can see in the fee schedule here, the first column is the 2021 fee rate. Today, if such a unit is built, they would pay, the county is charging the apartment trip generation rate, which is, as you can see there in that first column. We went through an assessment of the estimated traffic generation for this site, for this type of a land use, concluded it was probably lower than the apartment, and a reduction in this fee rate's appropriate. So the fee rates that you see there are what would be paid in the urban, suburban, and rural districts. And next slide, this is the comparison of the proposed 2025 Pasco County fee rates with those of the adjacent Hillsborough County, City of Tampa, Polk County, and Manatee County. Not much to say there. Hillsborough County, we know their fee rates are in effect through December 31st of this year. I know they have great interest in increasing those fee rates as they can. City of Tampa has adopted their fee program quite a few years ago, and these rates are what they are willing to charge. Not as fast growing a community. But by and large, Pasco County's fee rates are comparable to Hillsborough County's, slightly less in some cases, slightly more in other cases. Except great benefits in hotel, office, and industrial, of course. And to conclude, the anticipated adoption dates for this fee program at the Board of County Commissioners will be August 10th for the first reading, August 24th for the second reading. This fee program is anticipated to go into effect beginning January 1st of 2022. So if y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to entertain them.
Bill, I just had one question, and I only started looking at this stuff yesterday, admittedly. I haven't gone through all the categories, but I guess, can you give some explanation? As I look through the different mobility fee districts, there are different increases for mini warehouses and boat and RV storage. In some cases, mini warehouse gets put in that 7% increase. And boat and RV gets put in a 13% for the retail. In other cases, they're 3%, like in mobility fee district B. In C, it's 7% and 13%. So I don't know, is there justification or reasoning for those differences, or is that just something that hasn't been looked at and needs to be looked at closer?
Yeah, I would need to go back and look at it more closely to respond specifically to that question. To some extent, the House Bill 337 limitations requiring us to do equal steps has kind of twisted some of those growth rates and so forth.
Okay.
However, I do know that the Board of County Commissioners was not interested in subsidizing mini warehouses at all, whereas boat and RV storage, I don't think has received that attention.
I mean, I understand that. It's just that it's not a uniform increase across all the mobility fee districts. I mean, some places it goes up 6%, some places 7%, some places it goes up 3%. And then boat and RV storage, it goes up in 13, 7, and 3, I think, or 13, 7, and 13. So it's just not uniform. So I didn't know if there was a reason why. I know this is a real use. I mean, units are getting smaller. There's more apartments. I know apartments are a hot topic in the county. But I mean, people need places to store this stuff. I mean, we're a coastal community. You need places for boat and RV storage.
Yeah.
So,
That one's catching me a little flat-footed.
Sure,
Sorry.
no problem. If you
But
can
yeah,
just look at
but
that before the
realistically,
board, because.
I think it has to do with the goal of preserving fee rates from 2011 through 2020, or through 2018 anyway, has caused some of those subsidy discounts to be different. That resulted in the increasing steps probably being somewhat inconsistent, as you've noted.
Okay, very good. That was the only question I had. I mean, good job. I mean, it's a great presentation, understandably. I mean, I know that, costs are getting, things are getting more expensive. I mean, there needs to be increases, so I understand.
Are there any other questions?
That's it.
Well, are you recommending that we continue it?
No,
until
no,
those
no,
questions
I'm
are
fine.
resolved?
I mean, I'm fine. I'll make a motion to approve.
Public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a public hearing item. This is an ordinance.
Okay.
So you have to open it for public comment.
Yep, you gotta have, yeah, I can't make a motion yet, but yeah.
I'm just asking
sorry.
what you're.
No, I'm fine with it. I think that part needs to be looked at, is my main point. I mean, just before it goes to the board, because it's gonna go to the board for approval anyways.
Yeah. Okay.
So for the record, today you're sitting as the LPA, and what's being requested is for you to find the proposed amendments consistent with a comprehensive plan and recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners.
All right. So is there anybody else here from the public that's interested in speaking? I see no one. Does anybody have their hand up? I can't see. Okay. So if not, then do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion of the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Or like sign for negative. Motion carries. Okay, thank you very much. Good job.
Mr. Chair, would
Denise,
you
I
like
want
to
to go
go-
back to the items that were pulled.
Okay, thank you so
Now
much.
that we're through that, so let's go back to PC 6, I believe it is.
Good
Okay.
day, folks. Thank you, Chairman. Jessica Cole with the Planning and Development Department, Current Planning Division. Item PC6 is PDD 21-7520 in the name of Pulte Home Company LLC and Curtis L. Law Incorporated. Proposed is a rezoning request from AR Agricultural District to MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District to allow for 240 single-family detached units on approximately 79 9.76 acres. Next slide. This is a current aerial of the property. Next slide. The property is located in south central Pasco County on the southwest corner of the intersection of Lake Patience Road and Purdue Drive. This is the current zoning. Next slide. Current future land use. Next slide. The subject parcel reflects its original AR zoning district. It contains a residential dwelling unit and agricultural pursuits. And the subject site is within the South Market and the urban service area, but is outside of the rural areas. Next slide. The proposed request has been reviewed and is found to be consistent with the Land Development Code and the applicable provisions of the comprehensive plan. Mobility fee credits for right-of-way compensation are being proposed along with this petition. Next slide. This is an image of the master plan unit development's master plan that would be adopted along with the conditions of approval. Next slide. And this petition comes to you with a staff recommendation of approval. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Commissioners Clark Hobby, Hobby and Hobby, PA, 109 North Brush Street, Tampa, Florida, have been sworn. I think we only have one objector here today, and I'm going to keep this short and reserve the balance of my time, but I'll simply say this. The site is planned for Res 6 density. It is only being proposed at roughly 240 units when it would otherwise yield about 400 pursuant to the comprehensive plan. And if you look at a map of the MPUDs in this area, obviously we're in the South Market area where the county's encouraging, in the urban service area where the county's encouraging the majority of its growth. But this is one of the last few sites. Everything to our west by about 5 miles has an approved residential subdivision MPUD that's at a higher density or the density we're proposing. So we feel like we're consistent, and our team's here to answer questions.
All right, thank you. I think we had one objector or what questioner, I'll say. If that person could come forward. You'd state your name and address, please.
Leslie Pingley, 21107 3rd Street. I'm in the community adjacent to where he's requesting to build. I have concerns about traffic on Lake Patience, the turnout onto 41, as well as the rezoning from agricultural to residential. It is adjacent to another community that has been approved. It started to build, it's laying vacant. There's nothing being built. I don't know if this will butt up against it because I couldn't really tell. But I was concerned about the empty community, and now we're building another community, and the impact that that's going to have on the traffic in the area, as well as my specific community adjacent to that has 2 private lakes, that I would be concerned about access from a multi-use development having access to that.
All right. Is there public access to those lakes?
No.
Okay. Well, I don't think there would be a problem because they'd have to have public access for the public to use them.
I guess my questions would be, is there going to be, because the road that the community would abut against, would there be some kind of a barrier there to prevent that? And would there be openings into my community? Or would it just be a complete wall?
Are there openings in your community now from that road?
It's a tree farm.
Okay, I'm just saying, are there roads from that going into your
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it's a public road or not, because when we were forced to pay to have it paved, it was my understanding that it's a private road.
Okay. All right. Did anybody have questions? No? No questions? All right. Thank you. We'll try to get you some answers here.
Yep.
Clark Hobby again, for the record. I think you all might imagine, if I can get the master plan back up there, Denise, if you're running it. I'll just show you all. There's a dedication of right-of-way for a future collector that runs along the eastern boundary, and I believe the lady you just spoke lives to the east of that, so our project per se will not end up being immediately adjacent to her road that she's talking about or her subdivision, so we wouldn't have access to their lakes. We're not proposing any. Lake Patience was studied as part of our timing and phasing analysis. There's a sufficient capacity there, and we are building a turn lane into the site. And, you know, we're not proposing a barrier to the community, but again, the county will own right-of-way that will bifurcate our project from their area, so I don't think a buffer's needed there. Other than that, we'll be happy to chat with her outside now that I know we have somebody with questions and answer those. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great.
Appreciate your support.
Do we have any questions? All right, if not, then I'll hear a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion of the motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. So just for your information, the developer is offering to speak with you outside the meeting. Okay, PC 7.
Mr. Chairman, Denise Hernandez, Planning and Development. On PC 7, it's PDD 217534. This is a request for an MPUD, Ranch Hill MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District. And so the applicant is proposing a rezoning from AC to MPUD in order to allow for a maximum of 350 multifamily apartments. The location is in the Central Market area, and it's on the southwest corner of State Road 52 and Old Pasco Road. And the applicant is also requesting a variation from Section 907.1 on-street parking, which will reduce the required number of parking spaces from 2.25 spaces per unit to 1.90 spaces per unit, which is consistent with other similar project approvals. This is the MPUD master plan. And the current subject property is zoned AC. It currently contains 23.16 acres of pasture land or residence and some outbuildings. The Orange Belt Trail is planned to be constructed by the county within the property abutting the subject property to the north. And once the Orange Belt Trail is constructed, the subject property shall construct a bike pedestrian access to the Orange Belt Trail as noted in MPUD master plan. The Mango Hills Master Plan Unit Development District abuts the subject property on the west and south. It received approval for a maximum of 415 single-family detached and single-family attached townhome units. And the properties to the north and northeast of the subject parcel, which abuts State Road 52, are Zone C2 General Commercial District with an IL Industrial Light Land Use and ROR Retail Office Residential Land Uses. And apartments are a logical transition to step down from general commercial industrial uses to residential uses. The Land Development Code specifies that variations from the code may be reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners during the MPUD public hearing process. The applicant is seeking the parking requirement variation, as I previously noted. Staff finds that the request is consistent with the Pasco County Land Development Code, Chapter 500, subsection 402.2 zoning amendments, MPUD Master Plan Unit Development, and with the applicable provisions of the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan. And it recommends approval subject to the conditions listed in your packet.
All right. Thank you, Denise. Is the applicant present?
Good afternoon. Barbara Wilhite, 6327 Grand Boulevard, Newport Richey, Florida 34652. Nice to be here in person with you all. I represent the applicant on this project. We have not heard from any public until some folks have appeared here. So we'd be happy to just wait and hear so we can be more efficient with our presentation and address the concerns that may be raised. We are in an area in ROR land use. We're not seeking any change to the land use, absolutely fitting into the comprehensive plan. The allowable maximum density is 24 units per acre. We're looking at a 15 unit per acre maximum. We are in the area of 52 and 75, where there's quite a bit of employment generating uses that you all have mandated. So we'll want to hear exactly what the concerns are, and we will be ready to address.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, who would like to speak? Please come forward, state your name and address.
My name is Nancy Russell. I live at 11026 Jenkins Court. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak to you today. My concern, or our concern, is that Tampa Bay Golf and Country Club, that has an average age of 75, with 1,564 homes with about 3,300 residents. The community is parallel to this potential build of 350 multifamily apartments. It is, our back gate butts up to Old Pasco Road, which is, and the new apartment buildings would be north of, a little bit north of our community. Our concern is that with that Old Pasco Road, it's a two-lane road south from what the build is going to be. There's a lot of congestion on that road, as well as in the past few years, we've had a new high school built on Old Pasco Road. We've also had, right across the street from the high school, we've had 200 multifamily residence community built there. A little further down past Overlook Road, we also have some townhouses that are being built there, about another 200 there, as well as on 54 in Old Pasco Road, there's several hundred apartment buildings that have been built. The access on that road is very dangerous. It's only a two-lane road with school buses, with traffic, and with the increase of traffic, we're really concerned about the safety. Additional concerns that we have is the safety for our residents with increase of pollution, crime, and traffic, and as well as emergency vehicles going to and from our community. This is a 350 multifamily apartment with going to be 4 stories high, and our concern is that the increased population and the safety of our residents, as well as a congestion. Thank you for your time.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I
None?
have a couple questions.
Oh, go ahead, Pete.
You indicated that you live in Tampa Bay Golf,
Country Club. Mm-hmm.
and that you are concerned about your back gate
Well-
entrance. That's not your primary entrance, is it?
Well, we do have another entrance off of 52.
Right, that's the primary entrance, right?
The majority of our residents do go out the back gate, mainly because of the front gate. It doesn't have a traffic light, and so it's a lot easier for our residents to go up to 52 and with a light, and either to make a right or a left, and then go down 52 or down 75.
So I wrote down a little note here. You indicated that your concern basically is Old Pasco Road, correctly? Is that correct?
Old Pasco Road is a two-lane road. They did widen it up north a little bit from our community, but it's only a very small patch of road. And this 350-unit apartment complex, it will have an access out to Old Pasco Road.
That's all I have for you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? I don't see any hands. So Barbara, you want to speak to that?
Sure. Let's pull up our PowerPoint. Just be a little bit brief. Just want to give you a little bit of context regarding the project, and then Mike Razor can talk specifically traffic, but you're going to be my next slide. So as you can see, the project is located very close in proximity to the 52 I-75 interchange. Next slide. This is specifically looking at what's going on in that area. Our project is in red. So to the north, at the northwest quadrant of Interstate 75 and 52 is the Cruz and Douglas. They recently sold that property for industrial development, job creating. The other quadrant, the northeast quadrant, is One Pasco Center. Behind One Pasco Center, I understand they're looking at a 1 million square feet facility, employment generating. On the southeast corner, Pasco Town Center is in for a rezoning under the Connected City Business Core to have a majority of employment generating uses. The county has very thoughtfully, unlike maybe some of the other interchanges, really mandated and pushed employment-generating uses to this interchange. And then they have planned for this location for ROR land use. We're following the land use of the county, which is to have retail, office, residential. As was, next slide. This gives you the context of where our project is. We are the multifamily component. The orange is Orange Belt Trail. The yellow is where there's non-residential uses, office, industrial, and commercial. What wraps around us is Mango Hill, townhomes and single family, and you can see the proximity of this node, this ROR node, in relation to Tampa Bay Golf and Country Club. This is the product type. There is no other apartments in this area. This is the product the staff and county said when I brought Mango Hill in. Don't think you're going to put townhomes and single family. We want to see it step from single family and townhomes to apartments to commercial uses right at the intersection. So we're following those requirements. 52 has all been multi-laned, huge investment in 52, huge investment in the interchange. Old Pasco Road has also been improved. Our access is to Old Pasco Road, but where we're at is 4 lanes. Their gate's about 4,500 feet south. So I hope you will support the project. It's exactly what we need for this area. It's exciting to see the employment starting to take off so that we now have the demand for housing and different types of housing in this area, following the plans of the county. With that, I'm going to let Mike Razor talk to you just specifically on traffic, because that's the concern that was raised. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Razor with Razor Transportation Consulting, 19046 Bruce B. Downs Boulevard, Tampa. I have been sworn. I'm a Florida registered professional engineer with a specialization in traffic engineering and the preparation of traffic studies. I oversaw the preparation of the traffic study for the subject project, which considered 350 apartment units with access via Old Pasco Road, where that access connection would be located approximately 1,000 feet from State Road 52, noting that the intersection of Old Pasco Road and State Road 52 is signalized. State Road 52 is a 4-lane divided road in this area, generally currently from Bellamy Brothers Road, County Road 581 to the west, about 1.3 miles, eastward past I-75, where the 4-laning will be picked up by DOT's current new 52 project. Old Pasco Road is also 4 lanes divided in the area of the project site, generally from the project site access connection north to Old Pasco, or north to 52, about 1,000 feet. The traffic study assumed a minimal distribution to the south, 36 peak hour trips specifically, and that's about 1 vehicle every 2 minutes, more or less. This is due to the nearly direct access available to I-75, where there is an on-ramp located just over 1/2 mile from Old Pasco Road, which provides for a better alternative to Old Pasco Road with relatively long distances to points south and travel speeds of 2 times or more than compared to Old Pasco Road, except for proximate destinations such as Wesley Chapel District Park and the Cypress Creek School Complex, where at the school, there's a widened roadway section with turn lanes and a traffic signal, and down at Overpass Road, where the park is located, there's significant improvements underway, including traffic signalization, the new interchange, and several turn lanes and widening efforts. In addition, as Barbara had mentioned, there's significant employment opportunities being planned around the interchange. May I have another moment? 30 more seconds? Yes.
Yep.
Fantastic. So the results of the traffic, and this is the important part, the results of the traffic study, as coordinated with county staff, identified Old Pasco Road to be operating within transportation performance standards at a level of service C. The traffic signal at Old Pasco Road and State Road 52 was identified, and this is post-development, of course. Level service B in the morning, level service C in the afternoon, compared to a level service D/E threshold in this area. And also, we identified turn lanes that would need to be constructed on Old Pasco Road to remove any conflicting traffic from through traffic on Old Pasco. So the findings of our analysis concluded that the study area roadway segments and intersections meet Pasco County's transportation performance standards pursuant to the Land Development Code. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question. Just wondering, with the access on this road coming out to Old Pasco Road, looks like there's 2 there. And is there any, because I'm thinking the one, Mango Hills to the south, you got access road there, and 3 access roads within, I don't know how many feet. Is there any thought to combine both of those developments into one access road?
It's actually a great question, and we're currently looking into that. We initially wanted to go into the MPUD process with a defined access plan that would be specifically approved as part of the MPUD. However, in working and coordinating with the adjacent development to the south, we were only able to achieve a preliminary access configuration at this time, as we are working with those folks to look at a joint access situation. So that is something we are looking at currently.
Okay, thank you. One more question. On the access to the trail, you're going to have access through there from your development?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mike, where's the access from the property to the south? Where's the access to Old Pasco from that? It's tough to tell from the...
Yeah, it's at the very northern boundary of the white development there, the one that's outlined in, well, I guess shown in gray, white, right there, yes.
So all 3 of those accesses are going to be stacked up right there to Richards?
And that's specifically why we're looking at a combined cross or joint access connection.
And how far would that be north of the access to the golf club?
As I understand it, it's approximately 4,500 feet. Is that correct?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. If not, I hear a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second that.
So you have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Liam Devine, Planning and Development, Agenda Item PC8, PDD 21-7516 in the name of Kitty Campus University, Inc. It is a zoning amendment from AR1 Agricultural Residential District to PO1 Professional Office District. The subject site is located in the southwest corner of the intersection of State Road 54 and Meadowbrook Drive. The subject site is currently undeveloped and contains approximately 1.67 acres. The owner/applicant proposed to develop the site in conformance with the PO1 Professional Office District standards for development. On April 20th, 2021, the Board of County Commissioners denied a comprehensive plan amendment from Res 3, Residential 3 dwelling units per acre, to COM Commercial for the subject site. A companion rezoning application to C2 General Commercial District had been filed. On April 22nd, 2021, and May 18th, 2021, the Planning Commission and Board of County Commissioners continued the rezoning to a date uncertain. On June 7th, 2021, the applicant amended the rezoning application from C2 General Commercial District to PO1 Professional Office District. The subject site was reviewed by Long Range Planning Division and found to meet the location criteria for Comprehensive Plan Policy FLU 1.6.5, which provides criteria to permit the location of office development within residential FLUs. This is a look at the surrounding zoning. To the north is AR1 and an MPUD, Sapphire Hills MPUD. To the east, south, and west is AR1. You'll also note on that one that there is already existing PO1 zoning to the west. And then, next slide. And then this is a look at the future land use. To the north is Res 3 and EC, and to the east, south, and west is Res 3. This is a look from the access. As stated before, there's an MPUD, Zephyr Village MPUD, that is to the northeast of it. There's already professional offices located catty corner to the subject site. And this is coming with a recommendation of approval.
Okay. Well, any questions for Will? No? All right. Is there anybody here with Barbara?
Good afternoon again. Good to see you all. So you'll recall that we brought this matter to you all sitting as the LPA for a comp plan change a few months back. After we left the Planning Commission with a recommendation of approval of a commercial land use for ultimately what the application was for a C2 zoning, we went to the Board of County Commissioners. A lot of opposition to commercial development, and specifically C2, that the client was seeking at that time. In reaction to the board not wanting to see commercial uses at that location, we have amended our application for office. We heard over and over and over in both public hearings that office would be compatible, commercial would not. I think there was a recognition that this property is on State Road 54 at a signalized intersection, and that it's not appropriate for residential use. And so we took the rezoning, we applied for the least intense rezoning district. We didn't go for PO2, we went for PO1. As you recall, the neighbors said, what's nice about office is it's occupied during the day, it's not occupied at night, generally speaking, or on the weekends. So we have followed the direction and came in with PO1. It's actually the best result. If my client isn't able to move forward, you'll have somebody else in here wanting to do C1, PO2, and at least this brings to closure the use and office use at this location, because it's not going to be residential. And it's also consistent with the office use that was approved by the board to the west, a couple lots down. So we have our team here, and if there's any specific questions, but let's hear what the neighbors have to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. So is there anybody here to speak in opposition?
Mr. Chair, I do also want to mention that there is a gentleman that signed up on WebEx as well to speak on this item.
Okay, let's take the people that are in present first.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Robertson. I reside at 17245 Riverstone Drive, Lutz, Florida 33558. I don't object to it only because I know something will go there. I do want to point out that the second lot is well within our neighborhood. So I do want to recommend that we have an input on the design of what goes in there and the landscaping. There is a ditch that abuts that property, We've talked over and over and over about the flooding from that. And the last storm just shows that there is a problem. I realize that that problem is coming from Ballantrae. They do need to reconfigure the boxes and slow down the water because it's not safe. If someone's walking from, like, leaving our neighborhood to go to the sidewalk or whatever, they will get washed off the road if we're within that, you know, floodwater situation, because the current is hard enough to push a small car. So I don't know what anyone can do to try and slow down the water that's coming from Ballantrae, because it is definitely coming from Ballantrae. I know it's not his problem, but also the water coming from State Road 54 will come down the side of his property. So he's going to need to mitigate that water to where it slows it down. Maybe he can get the DOT or whatever to try and contain their own water, which is the proper way to do it. But there is a neighbor in the cul-de-sac that you see kind of coming up the side of his property, that his garage was flooded. So we do need to make sure that the water's mitigated on his property. And we do want something that looks nice for our neighborhood since it's within our neighborhood.
Okay, those items that you're talking about, they'll be addressed at the site plan approval.
Right, I just
So,
wanted to make sure
yeah.
it goes on record that we want
But
that.
I can assure you that it will be required for them to mitigate that water runoff. They won't be able to create additional runoff onto your property.
Okay,
And so you can feel comfortable with that.
oh,
In terms of the other things, you can have some input at the site plan review.
okay, great.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Are there any other questions? No? Okay. No one else?
Online.
Mr. Grant, who's on WebEx.
Oh, okay. Barbara, you want to hold on there? Yeah. Okay, Mr. Grant?
Yes, thank you. My name is Douglas Grant at 2235 Brookside Drive in Luke, Florida. As you heard, the subject property is two separate lots.
Mr. Grant, excuse me.
Yes,
I don't know, I doubt that you'd been sworn, have you? Have you been sworn?
I was present during, I heard the initial swearing, but I will be happy to swear again.
Yeah, because I don't think I heard your voice.
Okay, I was muted at the time, so yes, please, let's do it. That doesn't help you if we're not muted.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you very much. Go ahead.
Okay, as you heard, the subject property is two separate lots. Both the lots are within Meadowbrook Estates. There's a northern lot at State Road 54 and a southern lot, which is surrounded by agricultural residential properties with single-family homes. I conditionally object to the proposed rezoning because the applicant includes the southern lot in their request for rezoning. Commercial use at the southern lot is an intrusion into the existing AR community. A county policy prohibits this condition. I refer to policy 1.6.4 that states, quote, new neighborhood commercial uses shall not be located internally within existing family neighborhoods. The county includes offices in the definition of commercial use in the comp plan, and the southern lot is definitely internal to our neighborhood. Also, I'm concerned that commercial development on the southern lot will set a precedent to develop any lots in Meadowbrook Estates that has the same offset from State Road 54. And regarding that precedent, you don't need to look any further than the county's own pre-application comments dated July 1st, where the county attempts to justify this rezoning by improperly citing an outdated, temporary, and terminated special exemption that once applied to a space inside a neighboring home as if that special exemption is comparable to this land rezoning. Also, commercial developer approached my neighbor whose home is located 2 lots from State Road 54. Developers appear to be expecting rezoning deep into our neighborhood. And we're requesting that you honor this 1970s era community going forward. The county and developers have plenty of other land for commercial development, much larger than 1.6 acres, that aren't among homes. Now, I said earlier my objection is conditional. I might change my opinion if the southern lot is removed from the request for rezoning, or the developer voluntarily restricts the development as follows. Limit the layout so building structures are on the northern portion of the combined lots and use the southern portion for stormwater controls, like a retention pond or detention pond. The architecture of a building meshes with the residential community. There are more robust setbacks and buffers compared with the minimum setback and buffers allowed for the requested zoning. No special exemption for a daycare, and there is a ban on tenants that generate pollutants. And most importantly, we seek a mandate from the county that the landowner developer must coordinate development with a coalition of Meadowbrook Estates owners so the county and the developer and the homeowners can have assurances that every step of the development isn't combative. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, Barbara?
Thank you again. So the policies that are cited are relating to commercial development. You heard commercial development, commercial development, commercial development. We are seeking low-intensity office. We will be a good neighbor. We've worked with the neighbors before. Ms. Honeywell and I were just discussing, she did not get up here and object to continue to work together. We'd ask for your support on the PO1 zoning. Thank you.
All right, are there any questions for Barbara? Ms. Wallite?
Terry?
No?
Terry over there. Chuck.
Oh, Terry, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to follow up on some of the, in order to understand the comprehensive plan, the policies in play here would be 165, not 164. Policy flu 165, not policy flu 164. Policy flu 165 is office, and so this would a rezoning to the professional office zoning district would follow the office policies of the comprehensive plan. One thing to note that I'm not sure it has been noted previously is that the special exception that was approved back in 2000, I forget the date, 2011, is an important consideration when I'm thinking about the intrusion question, because in order to find the special exception, in order to approve a special exception, you have to find it consistent with the comprehensive plan. The extent of this property is directly across the street to the extent where the previous special exception was approved. So it's already been found in the past, at least, that there is a consistency with the comprehensive plan to have such a use come into the neighborhood up to the creek there.
All right, Harry, thanks for that clarification. That's good. Good information. Okay, any questions? Any, I hear a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve?
I'll second it.
We have a second. Any further discussion of the motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Okay, motion carries. Okay. Let's see. We're on 11 now.
Yeah,
Just a
PC
moment,
11?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I'm having some technical difficulties.
Okay.
It's PC 11, it's item 12.
Yeah, okay, let's take a 5-minute recess while we get organized. Okay?
position on the last one.
Yeah, me too.
Barbara quieted them down, so.
Yeah. And last guy had his facts together, they were just wrong.
Yeah. As I said, as soon as he started talking about comm, I'm like, he's talking about the wrong.
Denise tells me that she doesn't have any public comment online.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna just kind of
Okay.
and say that only if any of you guys have questions or concerns.
Yeah, that's
because I
fine.
can save us 20
Sure.
minutes. And if the board really, if somebody has heartburn, then I'll.
All right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Sure. I'm always in favor of that. You don't know. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Impossible.
Goodness gracious.
You have all those supports in place now. Sometimes, at some point, they're allowed to go. They're out and they have to have more supports.
Okay, let's get back to business.
Mr. Chairman, following item, Denise Hernandez, Planning and Development. Following item is P11. It's PDD 217527, Causeway MPUD. Before you is a request to rezone a piece of property from an MPUD to an MPUD to allow for additional uses on the property, to allow a land use equivalency matrix and exchange process, and to change the project from Causeway to Causeway MPUD on 32.66 acres. Again, proposed before you is to allow a maximum of 275,000 commercial retail square feet and to introduce a land use equivalency matrix, we call them looms, with potential additional uses. Potential additional uses are office, medical office, healthcare related uses, light industry, distribution, multifamily residential, single-family attached residential, senior retirement, assisted living, aggregate home, public institutional uses. Regardless of any land use equivalency matrix conversions, the minimum square footage of commercial retail will be 100,000 square feet. Residential uses will only be allowed in the parcels abutting 41 if they are part of a vertically integrated mixed-use building. There's also a couple of requests. One is for a variation from the Land Development Code, Section 907.1 on street parking. Should mixed-use parcels depicted on the MPUD be developed as a mixed-use trip reduction methods mudroom project, then on-site parking for the multifamily apartments, retail, and office within the mixed-use parcels request to be shared, to share the parking and calculated at 1.9 spaces per multifamily apartment unit. This is actually, this next one is something I'm reading into record. It's not part of your agenda packet, but I do want to read that item into record, and we will include the revisions to the clerk's office. The applicant is also requesting a variation from the LDC section 700.8, so that at the applicant developer's risk, a plat may be submitted and the plat process may be commenced prior to the approval of a no improvement plat, of a preliminary development plan, and/or construction plan. The procedures for that process will be approved by the county administrator or designee without requiring an amendment to the master plan unit development district. This is the proposed master plan. The background on this parcel: on January 8th, 2008, the Board of County Commissioners adopted a comp plan amendment from Res 3, residential 3 dwelling units per gross acre, to COM for the subject property, which became effective April 10th, 2008. On December 20th, 2011, the Board of County Commissioners adopted a rezoning from C2 and AC districts to an MPUD, Master Plan Unit Development District, and a comp plan amendment to change the land use designation from COM, commercial, to planned development has been concurrently submitted with the MPUD to allow for uses in addition to commercial retail, subject to a land use equivalency matrix exchange. This project is on the west side of 41, and it's outside of the multifamily moratorium, which became effective April 1st, 2021, and it's not constrained by the moratorium restrictions. The LDC specifies that variations from the code may be reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners at such time as the MPUD zoning amendment. And as stated, the applicant is seeking parking requirements variation and the variation that I read into record regarding the plating process. The proposed subject request was found to be consistent with the LDC, Chapter 400, Section 402.2 zoning amendments, MPUD, and with the applicable provisions of the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan. And the Planning and Development Department recommends that the Planning Commission recommend approval approval subject to the conditions as stated in your agenda packet and the variation read into record to the BCC.
All right. Thank you, Denise. And the applicant's present?
Barbara Wilhite, 6327 Grand Boulevard, Newport Richey, Florida, 34652 for the applicant. We are in agreement with staff's recommendation. We have been here before. This has gone through the full hearing process, 3 hearings on the comp plan amendment to plan development that was required in order to bring forward the MPUD. The comp plan, the MPUD mirrors the comp plan and also adds the requirements regarding the reserving 100,000 square feet of commercial, making sure the frontage along 41 is only non-residential unless it's vertically integrated, and making sure there's a minimum of 5.7 acres provided along 41 in any event of how the property ultimately develops. Board of County Commissioners adopted the comp plan amendment, and we're here for the rezoning. I have my team available if you have any questions.
Okay. Is there anyone here to object? I don't see anyone. Any questions from the dais?
I just had one just formality question, but in the conditions of approval, it references a land use equivalency matrix as Exhibit A. I didn't see that in the agenda package.
We're just making sure you're paying attention.
Sure.
He always is.
I figured it would make it in there before I went to the board, but I just didn't see it. So I'm sure it's the standard equivalency matrix.
It is, yes.
No problem. That's all.
Okay.
Noted, thank you.
I'll make a
right.
motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, I think we're on to 12.
Yes, sir. Just bringing up the PowerPoint. Okay, item P12 is PDD 217531. This is the Horner property, MPUD, Master Plan Unit Development District. And the subject site, as you can tell, is located on the east side of Hay Road, just south of Wesley Chapel Boulevard. The proposed rezoning is from an AC agricultural district and an I-1 Light Industrial Park District to an MPUD, Master Plan Unit Development District, to allow a maximum of 400 multifamily apartments on approximately 43.42 acres. Also requested are variations from the Land Development Code, which you've kind of heard some of those today, common on apartments. For 907.1 for on-site parking, reduced from 2.25 to 1.9. 905.1 neighborhood parks, reduced from 1 acre per 100 units to 0.85 acres per 100 units. 901.3 access management to allow gates on the emergency access interconnect to the west and south. This is the proposed master plan. The development is in the South Market area. It's located on the southeast corner of Wesley Chapel Boulevard and Hay Road and is within the urban service area. One of the parcels was rezoned from AC to I-1 on May 24th, 1977, and the rest of the parcels are currently reflect the original zoning district from 1975 of AC. The proposed proposal was submitted in February 2021, which is prior to the effective date of, which is April 1st, 2021, of the moratorium on multifamily. And there was a comprehensive plan amendment to go from Res 6 dwelling units per gross acre to, and IL, industrial light, to Res 24 dwelling units per gross acre, and that was Hay Road Comp Plan, Large-Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment, CPAL 2012. It's a multifamily project which is located between the recently approved Hay Road townhomes, which are to the west, and an industrial park commerce center, which is to the east, Compark 75. Multifamily apartments uses create a transition from the industrial uses to the townhomes. The parcels that are budding to the south of the parcel, the future land use on those is employment center. The proposed request is consistent with the Pasco County Land Development Code, Chapter 400, subsection 402.2, zoning amendment, MPUD, Master Plan Unit Development District, and the applicable provisions of the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan. I do want to state on the record, and I have sent this to the clerk's office, but I would like a motion to receive and file ex parte forms between the applicant, Mr. Tu, the applicant's representative, Mr. Tu, and the Planning Commission members.
Okay, do we have a motion to file?
Motion to accept
Okay.
these documents.
There we go.
I'll second.
We have a second. So we have a motion to accept and file. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay. So the applicant's present. I don't think we have anybody here to object.
No, sir. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, Joel Tu and Associates, Palm Harbor, Florida. For the applicant, I have been sworn. And as I mentioned to the chair during the break, since we've not had any public engagement at any point of this one, no public objection or comment, and if there are none here today, unless we have any questions or comments from the board members, I'm going to dispense with a lengthy presentation. I'm happy to present one if needed, but this one is very much like the Causeway MPUD that you just approved for Barbara. You've already seen this, if you recall. Well, not all of you, because Mr. Anderson wasn't here, but you saw the plan amendment come through, which you recommended for approval to the board. The board also approved that for transmittal to the state DEO. State DEO has commented, and their only comment was to make sure, and Ms. Blair and I have done this, they want to make sure the plan amendment reflected the 400-unit cap that we had promised you and the board when we did the plan amendment. So what the MPUD does is it legalizes and solidifies that 400-unit cap in the MPUD. We actually went ahead and showed you the MPUD plan and the conceptual layout. You saw this during the plan amendment, so that's why I'm going to dispense with that unless anyone wants to see a more formal presentation. We're in 100% agreement with the staff on all the conditions, including the variations, and we respectfully request that you recommend approval of the MPUD to match up with the plan amendment that the board has already approved. They both will be on the board agenda for August 24th for simultaneous approval, so that you know you have the density locked in the MPUD at the same time that the plan amendment is adopted. So unless there are any questions or comments, thank you.
Very good. Any questions?
I just, excuse me, I have a couple clarifications.
Yes, sir.
Did we not approve apartment complex in this area a couple months back that you also represent?
No, sir,
off
this,
Hay Road?
this is the one. What you approved was the plan amendment, and this is the companion MPUD zoning pursuant to that plan amendment. It's the same project.
And then this is going to be to the east of the townhomes that
Yes,
are
sir.
put in there.
Correct.
And at that time, I asked about children going to school. Remember, I brought up the question about sidewalks. There's a road there, obviously. My concern was that I think the school district did not indicate that there would be any busing in this area, but the veteran school is, I think, less than 2 miles down the road, so that means the children will be walking to that school. That's my concern. I know it's not your particular problem, but it is a concern that I have for the safety of those individuals, so.
Yeah, let me take one step. There is some updated information that our engineer received today from the county engineer about Wesley Chapel Boulevard that I think partly goes to that. And then I'm going to ask Mr. Tonello, because obviously he reviewed and approved the concurrency review for the project, so he can probably opine more on the school issue. But one important and positive piece of information is our engineer confirmed, he got an email back from county engineering staff. The county is at virtually 100% plan design approval for Wesley Chapel Boulevard now. They anticipate it's funded, and they're going to start construction in a little over a year from now, and we'll have that completed basically concurrent with this project being built. That is for a full 6-lane design, and of course, there'll be new sidewalks and all of those appurtenances constructed. So the good news is that whole segment there from I-75 down to 56/54 will be reconstructed within the next couple of years with appurtenant sidewalks. So hopefully, I know the county will not approve that design without the necessary pedestrian improvements. Beyond that, Richard, I'm really not familiar with exactly the school analysis that you did.
Oh, I didn't look at the sidewalks, I just looked at capacity, but, if that's being built, then that'll happen. I guess in the meantime, it won't happen, but as far as your project, I would assume that you'd have sidewalks coming to Wesley Chapel Boulevard.
Correct.
The problem is that the parcel to your north is an empty parcel, and so it's not developed, so there's no sidewalks there, so. And no one's, it becomes, is the county going to pay for it, the school district? The school district won't, because it's not an on-site improvement. Then it becomes who's going to pay for it? So in the meantime, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, we can have our engineer look. I can't imagine that the county is approving design plans for the roadway that doesn't include the adjacent sidewalks, but we can determine that.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm just talking about the time being between now and when it's.
Yeah,
that
we
road
will
is done.
not be constructed, by the time we get constructed, and they're ahead of us. They literally are going to permitting and starting construction. So my guess is you're going to see this project come online about the time that they're wrapping up the roadway improvements. I really don't think we're going to have a gap, and if we do it, it will certainly be a very short one. And I don't know what your busing rules are in the area. I'm sure Mr. Hansel knows, so.
Yeah, if it's considered a hazardous walking condition, then they bust them.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make sure that there was
good to
some
have that out
awareness
there.
of that.
Yeah, and I'll ask, I appreciate the heads up on that. We'll have our engineer actually go back, because he's been monitoring the design plans on, because we have to participate and cooperate, because we have to reconstruct our access to that existing signalized intersection. So we're having to coordinate all of our roadway for Hay Road that we have to build. We're having to coordinate that completely with the county plans to make sure they're in sync. So I'll have him investigate that and see if there's any way that the county can make sure they have that sidewalk in those plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. All right, are there any other questions? Hearing none, hear a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second. All right, any further discussion on the motion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay. All right, is that the last one, right?
That was the last one.
I guess I'm waiting for a motion.
Motion to adjourn. Aye.
Yeah, aye. We're all in agreement with that one.
Wildlife depend on you to keep them healthy. Excess fertilizer, grass clippings, trash, oils, and pet waste wash into gutters and storm drains when it rains. Stormwater carries these pollutants directly into our lakes and rivers, creating an unhealthy environment for fish, waterfowl, and other aquatic animals. Storm drains are meant for clean rainwater. Most other discharges are illegal. If you suspect an illicit discharge, please contact Pasco County Department of Public Works at 727-834-3611.
Good afternoon, and I'd like to welcome everybody to the ribbon cutting of the Starkey Gap Trail. 3, 2, 1. Woohoo! This might be the only ribbon I keep.
The Starkey Gap Trail is a 2.4-mile connector that's a part of the Florida Coast to Coast Trail. It crosses 54 into Starkey Boulevard and provides access up Starkey Boulevard into Starkey Wilderness Park.
So now cyclists can ride from Pinellas County into Pasco and beyond. So we're connecting, say, the city of St. Petersburg to Brooksville.
So back in 2014, several of us started looking at the map of Florida, and you saw all these different bike trails, but they weren't connected, which really kind of started the vision of a coast-to-coast bike trail paid for in partnership with the local counties, but also the state of Florida. So it's exciting to see it all coming together to where you'll be able to ride your bike from St. Petersburg all the way over to Titusville, Florida.
So as each one of these gaps closes, Florida's ranking in the world of bicycle tourism is going to just climb and climb and climb.
Citizens of Pinellas County are very excited that Pasco County will be joining us in the regional aspect of Rails to Trails and Trails for the Citizens, and part of the Coast to Coast Trail across the state of Florida.
The funding comes from a number of sources, and we have a lot of partners, the counties, the DEP, others, so it really is a joint effort among a lot of folks.
It's a great partnership, and we think the trail is great. You know that it goes through some of our land in actually Pinellas County, so why not Pasco?
The Parks Department was tasked with managing basically all trail systems that fall outside of the right-of-way. So, you know, basically your standard mowing, maintaining of signage, security, things of that nature we would be taking care of.
I'd like to thank Pasco County, Commissioner Starkey. She is such an advocate for trails, and especially safety for trails. She calls me all the time and looking for ways to make the trails safer, and so we're really fortunate to have someone like her to work with.
So it's an amazing trail and amazing accomplishment. It's great for tourism, it's great for exercise, and it's great for economic development to have such a long, interesting trail available to people. I think people will come from all around the world to ride this trail. So.
Hello, I'm Josh Taylor from Pasco County Fire Rescue. Thank you for joining us. When medical emergencies strike, first responders will always do what it takes to access the home and reach the patient. Sometimes that means that we have to break a window or force a door as a last resort. We want to make sure that all of our options are explored before doing any damage to your home. But if forcing entry is our only option, we may have to do some damage. This video is intended to show you and your family options for allowing firefighters access to your home in times of an emergency. While this list isn't all-inclusive, it's intended to show you the most common options for emergency entry. This list is from the least secure to the most secure and includes price points for each. For more information, you can visit mypasco.net and search for fire rescue. Our first and least secure option is the key under the mat. This gives simple access to your home, but we don't recommend it. It's often the first place criminals look when trying to break in. Although this is an easy place to hide a key, it is not secure and leaves your property vulnerable. The only cost associated with this is the key and a doormat. The second way to access a home is a hidden key inside of a rock or ceramic frog in the garden. For years, this was a very popular way to store a key. This is not as obvious as the key under the doormat. However, it isn't any more secure. This inexpensive option can be relayed to dispatch in the time of an emergency, allowing first responders access. It's also one of the places criminals look to gain access to your home. The cost of the hidden key is around $20, but we cannot recommend it. The next option is the electronic keypad. This is a more secure option than the first two, and pretty inexpensive with a price point under $100. This keypad can be purchased from a local hardware store and is simple to install with tools you should already have. The code should be relayed to the 911 operator in the time of an emergency or can be stored with our dispatch beforehand. It is the homeowner's responsibility to maintain the keypad with fresh batteries and to have the password on hand. If the code is stored with our dispatch, the homeowner must contact them with the new code when it changes. Dead batteries are a failure point for this option. The final option is the controlled access box. This is the most secure and most expensive emergency access option. This steel box costs just under $200 and is available for purchase online. It is the homeowner's responsibility to install the box and call Pasco County Fire Rescue to come and install the key, free of cost. This secure box is accessed by a special key that only the fire department carries. It is the owner's responsibility to contact the fire rescue if they change locks on their front door. This list reflects the most common options for allowing first responders access to a home during an emergency. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful day. For more information, visit mypasco.net and search for Fire Rescue.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Isaacson, Regional Branch Manager for Pasco County Libraries. Welcome to the Starkey Ranch Theater Library Cultural Center, currently under construction and scheduled to be completed in spring of 2021. Let's go in and take a look. Now that the interior walls are up, you can really get a sense of the library's layout. The lobby will be the first space you enter, with a cafe area and a green wall with living plants. It will be an inviting space with plenty of natural light from the skylights. The library will have comfortable seating areas for relaxing, studying, and working. There will also be a drive-up window and book return for your convenience and safety. We're very excited about the theater. The auditorium has a seating capacity of 250 and can be set up theater style, banquet style, or classroom style. The stage is equipped with curtains, lights, and theater sound, so it will be able to accommodate a wide range of performances. There are attached dressing rooms and a catering area. The enclosed courtyard also features an outdoor stage and presentation area. The library is on the same campus as Starkey Ranch K-8 school and will serve a dual purpose as the school's media center. The youth room is very large and will hold thousands of books, plus study rooms and other learning areas, including a separate storytime room and a teen room. We look forward to having lots of kids in this space, and there will be plenty of activities for students and families. Starkey Ranch will have 3 makerspaces. One makerspace is dedicated to ceramics with a kiln and 2 pottery wheels. The other 2 makerspaces will offer a wide range of equipment and activities, such as jewelry making, sewing and textile arts, and painting. The makerspaces will have both scheduled instructor-led classes and open hours when community members can come work on their own projects. Watch for more videos to keep you up to date on how the Starkey Ranch Theater Library Cultural Center is progressing. Thank you.
Aye.